The year was 2157. Earth looked better than it had in centuries. The oceans were clean again. The air was fresh. People lived in tall green cities that worked with nature instead of against it. Humans had built homes on Mars and Europa, and they mined metals from the asteroid belt. Everyone said it was a golden age. President Allison Harrington stood at the window of her office in New Washington. She looked at the city below with pride. 5 years ago, aliens had contacted Earth. The Galactic Council, they called themselves. They shared some technology and invited Earth to join them as a junior member. Most people thought it was the best thing that ever happened to humanity. Admiral Frank Donovan did not share this view. He sat in his underground office at Earth Fleet Command, looking at reports that troubled him deeply. 3 space stations had lost power last month. 2 ships had vanished near Neptune. Communication systems failed more often now. Small things, maybe, but too many to be just bad luck. "Admiral, you need to see this," said Major Heather Martins as she entered his office. Her face was serious. She placed a data tablet on his desk. "What am I looking at, Major?" Donovan asked, picking up the tablet. "Strange signals, sir. We caught them by accident. They're coming from the Council's embassy ship, but they're not going to any known Council worlds. They're aimed at empty space beyond Pluto." Donovan frowned. "Who are they talking to out there?" "We don't know. The code is unlike anything we've seen before. But the timing matches perfectly with each accident we've had." The Admiral stood up and walked to his own window. Unlike the President's view of a beautiful city, his showed only the gray wall of an underground bunker. "They're hiding something. I felt it from day one." On the moon, Dr. William Carter worked late in his lab. The Council had hired him to study alien biology alongside their own scientists. At first, he had been excited. Now he felt only concern. He looked at the data on his screen again. Something was wrong with the genetic information the Council had given him. "Computer, compare species genome sequence 5 through 20, he said. The computer displayed the results. Carter's eyes widened. "They all have the same gap," he whispered to himself. "Every single species has the same missing gene sequence, except humans." He quickly saved his work to a private device. This was too important to leave on the main system. If humans were genetically different from every Council species in exactly the same way, that couldn't be a coincidence. Back in her office, President Harrington prepared for a video call with the Council's High Minister. Her assistant entered with a worried look. "Madam President, Admiral Donovan is requesting an urgent meeting." Harrington sighed. "Tell him it will have to wait. The High Minister calls in 10 minutes. He says it's about Council transmissions to the outer solar system. Unauthorized communications." The President paused. "Give me 5 minutes with him before the call." In space, a large ship moved silently beyond the orbit of Pluto. It did not broadcast its presence. Inside, creatures watched screens showing Earth and its colonies. One creature turned to another. "The humans are advancing too quickly. Their adaptability exceeds our models. They've accomplished in decades what took other species centuries." "The Council's decision is final," said the other. "Containment protocols are already in motion. The humans will never know what happened until it's too late." The first creature looked back at the images of Earth. "Let's hope so. They are the first species in 8,000 years that might actually fight back effectively." On 3 different worlds, Earth, Luna, and Mars, 3 humans began to suspect a terrible truth. Humanity's new friends might not be friends at all. And the stars, which had seemed so full of promise, now hid a growing threat that nobody else could see. Ambassador Catherine Shaw loved the view from the Galactic Council headquarters. The building stood tall on Proxima Centauri, the closest exoplanet to Earth. Through the crystal walls, she could see 3 suns in the sky. Even after a year here, the sight still amazed her. Today she had a regular meeting with the Council members. Catherine checked her neural interface, a small device behind her ear that translated alien languages. All humans who worked with the Council had one. She walked into the great chamber where 12 alien representatives sat in a half-circle. Each came from a different species that had joined the council thousands of years ago. Humans were the newest members. Ambassador Shaw. "Welcome," said the High Minister, a tall blue being with 4 arms. "We trust Earth's integration proceeds well." "Very well, thank you," Catherine replied with a smile. "President Harrington sends her regards. Our scientists are making great use of the terraforming technology you shared with us." The meeting continued as usual. They discussed trade routes, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until Catherine's neural interface made a strange sound. The screen in her vision flickered. "Is everything all right, Ambassador?" asked one of the council members. "Yes, just a small glitch in my translator," she said. But it wasn't a glitch. Her interface had connected to the council's private network by accident. Catherine pretended everything was normal while text began to scroll across her vision. What she saw made her blood run cold. Project Containment. Human Timeline. Phase 1. Technology Integration. Complete. Phase 2. Nanite Deployment. 89% complete. Phase 3. Fertility Reduction. Commencing in 30 days. Expected human extinction. 75100 years. There was more data. Charts showing human population decline. Plans for taking over Earth's resources. Catherine struggled to keep her face neutral as fear and anger filled her mind. "Ambassador, you seem distressed," said the High Minister. She forced a smile. "Just a headache. May we take a short break?" In a private room, Catherine tried to copy the files she had seen. She needed to warn Earth. But as she worked, her interface screen flashed red. Unauthorized access detected. Catherine knew she had to leave immediately. She headed for her ship, trying to act normal. In the hangar, a small green alien approached her. It was Zarn, her assistant from the Trilaxian species. "Ambassador, you are in danger," Zarn whispered. "The Council knows your interface accessed restricted files." "How do you?" "No time. Security forces are coming. I have a ship ready. We must go now." Catherine hesitated only a moment before following Zarn. They slipped into a small maintenance ship just as alarms began to sound. "Why are you helping me?" she asked as Zarn piloted them away from the station. "Not all of us agree with the Council's methods," the alien replied. "What they plan for humans is wrong. It is not the first time they have done this." Back on Earth, Admiral Donovan received a coded message from one of his spies on Mars. The Council had sent a large shipment of what they called terraforming nanites to every human settlement. "Sir," said Major Martinez, "our lab just analyzed a sample of these nanites. They're not what the Council claims. They're designed to degrade our technology slowly over time." "And what else?" Donovan asked, seeing the grim look on her face. "They release compounds that would make humans gradually become unable to have children. In 3 generations, we'd be extinct." Donovan stood up. "Where's Dr. Carter? I need his findings too." "He's gone into hiding, sir. Someone tried to access his lab last night. He left a message saying he has proof the Council sees humans as a threat because of our genetic makeup. We need to warn the President." "We've tried." She's surrounded by Council advisors at all times now. Donovan looked at the world map on his wall. Red dots showed locations where the nanites had been deployed. Every major city, every colony, every ship. "Then we go to Plan B, send the coded message. Thermopyla. All cells activate." In deep space, Catherine and Zarn dodged Council patrol ships. They needed to reach Earth to deliver their warning, but the main routes were blocked. "There's a way through the Kuiper Belt," Zarn suggested. "Dangerous, but unguarded." Catherine nodded grimly. "Whatever it takes. If what I saw is true, we may already be too late." On Mars Colony, engineer Olivia Russell noticed the problems first. The air filters stopped working for 10 minutes. Then the water recyclers made strange noises. Small issues, but they worried her. Olivia worked in the main control room of Dome 6, the largest habitat on Mars. She checked the system logs and found something odd. Every machine that failed had used parts given to them by the Galactic Council. "Hey Sam, come look at this," she called to her coworker. Sam walked over and looked at her screen. "All the failures connect to Council tech?" he asked, pushing his glasses up. "Yes. And look at this microscope view." Olivia showed him a close-up image of a broken part. Tiny machines moved inside it. "These nanites aren't just failing. They're actively breaking things." Sam's eyes went wide. "We need to tell someone." "Who?" "The colony leader meets with council reps every day." "What if they're watching him?" Just then, an emergency alert sounded across all of Mars colony. Similar reports were coming in from Luna, Europa, and Earth. Technology was failing everywhere. On Earth, Admiral Donovan and Major Martinez drove an old gas-powered jeep through the countryside. They had learned not to trust any modern vehicles or communication devices. "The council moved faster than we expected," Donovan said grimly. "They've activated the nanites everywhere at once." Martinez checked her old paper map. "We're almost to the safe house. Dr. Carter should be waiting there." They arrived at an old farmhouse far from any city. Dr. Carter opened the door before they could knock. His eyes looked tired and scared. "Thank God you're here," he said. "It's worse than we thought." Inside, Carter showed them his research on an old computer not connected to any network. "The nanites aren't just attacking our technology," he explained. "They're releasing chemicals that will make humans unable to have children. In 3 generations, we'll be gone." "Why would the council do this?" Martins asked. Carter pointed to genetic charts on the screen. "Humans are different. All council species evolved to be peaceful and careful. They work together well, but they don't innovate quickly. Humans are the opposite. We fight, we take risks, we change fast. Their models predict we would dominate the galaxy in just a few hundred years." Donovan nodded slowly. "So they decided to eliminate us before we could become a threat." "Exactly," Carter said. "And they've done it before to other species." The Admiral pulled out an old radio. "We need to activate Protocol Thermopylae now. It's our only chance." In the presidential office in New Washington, President Harrington met with the council's ambassador. Her smile was friendly, but her eyes were cold. "Ambassador, I've been hearing reports of technology failures across Earth. Do you know anything about this?" The tall alien tilted its head. "Just normal growing pains as your systems integrate with our more advanced technology. Nothing to worry about." Harrington nodded, pretending to accept this answer. After the meeting, she pressed a hidden button under her desk. A secret panel opened in the wall. She took out an old phone not connected to any modern network and dialed a number. "The council is lying," she said when someone answered. "Implement shadow government protocol. We've prepared for this." In space, Catherine and Zarn's small ship reached the edge of the solar system. They had dodged 3 council patrol ships already. "We're picking up a signal," Zarn said, pointing to the ship's scanner. "It's from Saturn's rings." Catherine adjusted the radio. A woman's voice came through. "This is Captain Lisa Hayes of Earth Fleet Ship Defiance. We're hiding in Saturn's rings. Identify yourself." "This is Ambassador Catherine Shaw with critical intelligence from the Council headquarters. The Council has activated a plan to end humanity." "We know," Captain Hayes replied. Admiral Donovan sent out the Thermopylae alert. "Any Earth ships that got the message are going dark, hiding and preparing." Catherine leaned forward. "I have complete details of their plan. I know their weaknesses." "Then we need to get you to Earth safely," Hayes said. "But it won't be easy. Council ships are everywhere now." On Mars, Olivia Russell gathered her most trusted engineers in a sealed room with no technology. "The nanites are programmed to destroy our tech and us," she told them. "But they're still machines. I think we can reprogram them, make them work for us instead." One engineer shook his head. "That's impossible. We don't understand their programming." Olivia smiled. The Council doesn't understand human creativity. We've always been good at turning our enemies' weapons against them. Let's prove it again. 3 months after the Council's attack began, Earth and its colonies looked very different. Modern technology had largely failed. Cities were dark at night. Space travel between colonies had stopped. The Council thought humanity would fall into chaos and fight among themselves. They were wrong. In the Pacific Northwest forests, Daniel Pierce led a group of 50 people. Once a military engineer, Daniel now taught others how to build communication devices that didn't rely on modern technology. This radio works on principles from the 1930s, he explained to the group gathered around him. The Council nanites don't recognize it as technology worth attacking. A young woman raised her hand. But the range is only 100 miles. How will we talk to people on Mars? Daniel smiled and pointed to a chart on the wall showing Earth covered with dots. We create a network. Each station passes messages to the next. Slow, but reliable. His group had already connected with similar communities across North America. Each day, they reached farther. On Mars, Olivia Russell worked in a sealed lab with her team. For weeks, they had captured and studied the Council's nanites. Today was the test of their work. Ready? She asked Sam, who stood beside a small device. He nodded nervously. Olivia pressed a button, releasing reprogrammed nanites into a chamber containing the original Council nanites. Everyone watched as the two groups of tiny machines met. It's working. Sam shouted as the screen showed Olivia's nanites attaching to the Council ones, changing their programming. Olivia let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Now we can fight back. These will repair our technology instead of breaking it. In orbit around Saturn, Captain Lisa Hayes' ship Defiance met with Ambassador Shaw and Zarn's smaller vessel. Hayes looked out the window at the 20 Earth ships hiding in Saturn's rings, their systems powered down to avoid detection. We've gathered everyone who escaped the initial attack, Hayes told Catherine. Engineers, scientists, soldiers. We've been watching the Council ships and gathering intelligence. Catherine shared what she had learned at Council headquarters. The Council fears humans because we're unpredictable. They expected us to collapse when they hit our technology. Hayes nodded. Instead, we adapted. We've gone back to basics. Low-tech solutions that still work. The Council never considered that possibility, Zarn added. They rely too much on advanced technology themselves. They have no backup systems. Catherine looked at the star map showing Council ship positions. That's a weakness we can exploit. On Earth, Admiral Donovan traveled from one hidden base to another, connecting resistance groups. He reached a bunker in the Rocky Mountains where Dr. Carter had set up a new lab. What have you found? Donovan asked as he entered. Carter pointed to biological samples under a microscope. The nanites are releasing compounds to reduce human fertility, but our bodies are fighting back. Some people are actually becoming immune to the effects. Can we speed up that immunity? I think so. We could develop a treatment to help everyone resist. Donovan smiled for the first time in months. The Council thinks they're smarter than us, but they've never faced a species that evolved through constant challenges and adaptations. President Harrington operated from a moving command center, never staying in one place for more than a day. She had escaped New Washington just before Council forces took control of the government buildings. Today, she received reports from around the world. The news gave her hope. Daniel Pierce's communication network now connects 60% of North America, her aide reported. Similar networks are growing in Asia, Europe, and Africa. And Dr. Carter's immunity treatment. Testing begins next week. Early results look promising. Harrington nodded. What about Olivia Russell's reprogrammed nanites? They've successfully reclaimed 2 domes on Mars. Technology is working again in those areas. The president looked at the old paper map on the wall. Red pins showed Council-controlled areas. Blue pins showed free human settlements. A month ago, there had been far more red than blue. Now the numbers were evening out. The council thought cutting us off from each other would make us weaker, she said. Instead, we're becoming stronger in new ways. Her aide smiled. Humans have always been good at facing challenges. It's kind of our thing. 6 months into what the council had planned as humanity's end, their leaders met in an emergency session. The High Minister looked troubled as he addressed the 12 representatives. The human containment is not proceeding as expected, he said, displaying images of Earth and its colonies. They should have collapsed by now. Instead, they have adapted. Impossible, said one council member. Our models showed they would turn on each other when resources became scarce. Another member displayed new data. The opposite has happened. They are sharing resources more efficiently now than before. Community bonds have strengthened. On Europa, Dr. Gregory Washington worked in a lab built inside the icy moon. As a marine biologist, he had been studying Europa's ocean life. Now he studied something more urgent, the effects of council nanites on human biology. Look at this, he told his assistant, pointing to test results. The compounds meant to reduce our fertility have triggered an immune response. Our bodies are fighting back. His assistant leaned closer to the screen. Is that what I think it is? Gregory nodded excitedly. The response isn't just neutralizing the compounds. It's strengthening cellular repair. These people might live 20 years longer than normal. The Council's weapon is making us stronger. Exactly. Evolution in action. Gregory couldn't help smiling. I need to contact Dr. Carter on Earth immediately. Admiral Donovan's underwater command center moved constantly beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Today, it surfaced briefly near a small island to receive a special visitor. Ambassador Catherine Shaw, who had finally reached Earth with Zarn's help, entered the command room. She looked tired but determined. Admiral, she said, shaking his hand. It's good to finally meet in person. Ambassador, your information has been invaluable. Donovan led her to a table where Major Martinez waited with maps and reports. The Council makes a fundamental mistake in how they see humans, Catherine explained. They judge us by our technology and our apparent divisions. They completely missed our ability to come together in a crisis. Zarn, who had come with Catherine, added, the Council species evolved toward cooperation and stability. They don't understand societies that combine both conflict and cooperation like humans do. Donovan nodded. That explains their strategy. They expected us to fall apart when they hit our technology. Instead, Martine said, we've built new systems they don't understand. Daniel Pierce's radio network now connects most of Earth. Olivia Russell's reprogrammed nanites are spreading on Mars. Catherine looked at the updated maps showing human resistance. The Council never planned for this. Their models can't predict what we'll do next because we're not following any pattern they recognize. Across the solar system, humanity's fragmented resistance grew stronger each day. The old internet was gone, but Daniel Pierce's radio network evolved into a new communication system that the Council couldn't monitor or disrupt. On Mars, Olivia Russell's team had reclaimed 4 domes. Their reprogrammed nanites not only fixed technology, but improved it in unexpected ways. The nanites are learning from us, she told Sam as they watched the tiny machines rebuild a water filtration system. They're incorporating human design principles that the Council never considered. Sam looked amazed. We're creating a new kind of technology. Not quite human, not quite Council. Something better than both. In the hidden fleet around Saturn, Captain Hayes received messages from Earth, Mars, and Europa. She called her officers together. We have confirmation. Dr. Washington on Europa and Dr. Carter on Earth have both developed treatments against the Council's biological attack. Their teams are distributing it to all colonies. Her second-in-command looked hopeful. So we'll survive. More than survive, Hayes said, showing them Gregory's data. The treatment might actually extend human lifespan. The Council tried to end us and accidentally made us stronger. In the Council chambers, the High Minister reviewed the latest reports with growing concern. The humans have developed countermeasures faster than any species we've ever contained, he told the others. They're not just resisting, they're innovating. Perhaps we should consider negotiation, suggested one member. The High Minister shook his head. Too late. Our models show that if humans survive this attempt, they will never trust us again. And a distrustful, technically advanced human species would be the greatest threat the Council has ever faced. Then what do we do? Prepare our military forces. If subtle containment fails, we must consider direct intervention. 8 months into the conflict, humanity developed a plan to fight back. Leaders from Earth and all colonies met in Admiral Donovan's underwater base to share their progress and create a unified strategy. President Harrington stood before the group, which included faces both in person and on screens. Olivia Russell joined from Mars, Dr. Washington from Europa, Captain Hayes from the Saturn Fleet, Daniel Pierce from his radio network headquarters. For months, we've been surviving, Harrington said. Now it's time to push back. Each of you has created solutions the Council never expected. Together, we can do more than just endure. We can win. Olivia Russell went first, explaining her team's work with reprogrammed nanites. The nanites were meant to destroy our technology, she said. We've turned them into builders instead. They can now repair and improve our systems faster than the Council can break them. She showed images of the nanites rebuilding a power plant on Mars. We've loaded the improved nanites onto small drones. We can deploy them throughout the solar system to reclaim our technology. Dr. Washington and Dr. Carter presented next, standing side by side. We've developed a treatment that doesn't just protect against the Council's fertility attack, Carter explained. It enhances our natural immune system. Washington nodded. The treatment spreads person to person like a beneficial virus. Every human who receives it becomes immune to the Council's biological weapons. Captain Hayes described her fleet's reconnaissance of Council movements. They're bringing in military ships, she said, showing sensor readings. The Council is preparing for direct action since their subtle approach failed. That tells us they're worried. Admiral Donovan noted. They wouldn't risk open conflict unless they feared they were losing control. Ambassador Shaw and Zarn provided crucial intelligence about Council weaknesses. The Council species share a common biology, Shaw explained. It's why they feared human genetic difference. We can use this against them. Zarn pointed to a molecular structure on screen. This compound would temporarily paralyze Council species without killing them. It has no effect on humans. Daniel Pierce described how his communication network had connected with other species who resisted Council rule. We're not alone, he said. The Council has contained other species before. Some survived in hiding. They want to help us. The group discussed and refined their three-part strategy: technological, biological, and diplomatic. For technology, Olivia's reprogrammed nanites would be deployed throughout human settlements, reclaiming and improving systems the Council had disabled. For biology, the doctor's treatment would be distributed to all humans, protecting them from the Council's attacks, while researchers developed Zarn's compound to use against Council forces. For diplomacy, Ambassador Shaw would work with Zarn and other sympathetic aliens to reach out to species oppressed by the Council. The most daring part of the plan involved Captain Hayes leading a mission to capture a Council communication hub. This would give humans access to the Council's secure network and allow them to broadcast evidence of the Council's actions to all species. The Council believes they're superior because they're more unified than humans, Harrington said at the meeting's end. But forced unity under threat isn't true cooperation. Real strength comes from freely choosing to work together despite differences. That's what humans do best. As the meeting ended, Admiral Donovan pulled Harrington aside. This plan could work, he said quietly, but we need to be prepared for the Council's direct attack. They won't go down without a fight. Harrington nodded. That's why I've authorized Operation Phoenix. If the Council launches a full attack on Earth, we have ships ready to evacuate key personnel and resources to our outer colonies. Humanity will survive even if Earth falls. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Donovan replied. In orbit around Jupiter, a fleet of Council warships gathered. The commander received final orders from the High Minister. The human problem requires immediate resolution. The message read, "Proceed with direct intervention. Earth must be neutralized within 30 days." The commander acknowledged the order. None of the Council ships noticed the small human vessel hiding in Jupiter's shadow, recording their every move and transmitting the intelligence back to Admiral Donovan's headquarters. The final confrontation was about to begin. 1 year after the Council's initial attack, humanity launched its response. The date was set to coincide with the Council fleet's planned assault on Earth. Instead of waiting for the attack, humans would strike first. Admiral Donovan stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defiance, which Captain Hayes had commanded until Donovan took direct control of the operation. Around him, a fleet of 50 Earth ships had gathered near Neptune, hidden from Council sensors by special shields developed using reprogrammed nanites. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Major Martinez, now his second in command. Donovan nodded. "Send the signal. All operations commence." Throughout the solar system, humans put their plan into action. On Mars, Olivia Russell activated a massive swarm of reprogrammed nanites. The tiny machines spread like a silver cloud across the red planet, reclaiming technology in minutes that had taken months to lose. Similar swarms activated on Europa, Luna, and Earth. "The nanites are working faster than expected," Sam told Olivia as they watched their monitors. "Council systems are being disabled without being destroyed." Olivia smiled. "We don't need to destroy what we can convert." Near Jupiter, the Council war fleet prepared to move toward Earth when their systems suddenly faltered. Lights dimmed. Weapons went offline. The ships didn't fail completely, but they could no longer fight effectively. The Council commander frantically called headquarters. "Something is attacking our technology. We need reinforcements." But help would not come. At the Council's main communication hub near Saturn, Captain Lisa Hayes led a team of human fighters in a daring raid. They wore special suits that made them invisible to Council security systems, another innovation from Olivia's team. "Move quickly and quietly," Hayes ordered as they entered the hub. "Remember, no lethal force unless absolutely necessary." The team planted devices throughout the facility. These released Dr. Washington's modified compound, harmless to humans, but causing temporary paralysis in Council species. Within minutes, the entire staff lay unconscious. "Communications secured," Hayes reported to Admiral Donovan. "Uploading the evidence now." Throughout Council space, on thousands of worlds and ships, screens suddenly changed. They showed secret Council archives. Evidence of containment plans not just for humans, but for dozens of species throughout the galaxy's history. The Council's carefully maintained image of benevolent leadership shattered as their own records revealed the truth. At the Council headquarters, the High Minister and representatives found themselves facing not just a human rebellion, but questions from their own people. "You told us humans were dangerous and needed control," said one Council citizen in a message played throughout the chamber. "But these records show you've done this many times before. Who are the real threat to peace?" As confusion spread through Council space, Admiral Donovan's fleet emerged from hiding and approached the disabled Council warships. "This is Admiral Frank Donovan of Earth," he broadcast to the Council commander. "Your systems will return to minimal function in 1 hour. Enough to return home, not enough to fight. We could destroy your fleet, but that's not our way." On Earth, President Harrington addressed her people, and through the captured communication hub, much of the galaxy. "Today marks a turning point," she said. "The Council tried to eliminate us quietly, assuming we would follow their models of behavior. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength is our unpredictability, our ability to face challenges in ways no one expects." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "To the Council, I say this. We do not seek revenge. We seek recognition. Humanity will not be contained or controlled. We offer instead a new relationship based on mutual respect." In their council chambers, the representatives watched the humans' coordinated response with shock. Their perfect models, their careful plans, all had failed. How is this possible? One asked. They operated independently, scattered across their system, yet somehow coordinated this response perfectly. The High Minister stared at the screens showing humans working together, not with the forced uniformity of council species, but with diverse approaches unified toward a common goal. I believe, he said slowly, we have severely underestimated them. On the Defiance, Admiral Donovan received reports from across the solar system. The reprogrammed nanites had reclaimed human technology. Dr. Washington's compound had neutralized council forces without bloodshed. Captain Hayes had succeeded in broadcasting the truth. It worked, Martine said, almost disbelieving. We actually did it. Donovan allowed himself a small smile. The council planned our end, but they never understood what humans do best: face impossible odds, adapt, and emerge stronger. 6 months after humanity's successful defense against the council, a new era began. The Grand Council chamber on Proxima Centauri looked different now. The high seats where the 12 representatives once sat alone had been replaced by a circular arrangement of chairs. Representatives from 30 species sat together, including humans. Ambassador Catherine Shaw took her place as the first human to serve on what was now called the Galactic Assembly. Beside her sat Zarn, now representing his own people rather than serving as an assistant. This assembly is now in session, announced the moderator, a position that rotated among all member species. Catherine looked around the chamber. The old council had fallen apart after humans revealed their secret history. Some council worlds had experienced protests. Others sought peaceful transfers of power. The species that had been contained emerged from hiding to claim their rights. No shots had been fired. No worlds had burned. The transition happened through words and choices, not weapons. Many saw this as proof that the assembly could succeed where the council had failed. On Earth, President Harrington met with Admiral Donovan on the observation deck of the new assembly station orbiting Jupiter. They watched ships from a dozen different species move peacefully through space. Hard to believe it's only been 6 months, Harrington said. Donovan nodded. We've come a long way. Olivia Russell's nanite technology is helping rebuild infrastructure across the galaxy. Dr. Washington's medical advances are being shared with all species. And Daniel Pierce's communication network has evolved into something remarkable, Harrington added. A truly free exchange of information between worlds. Not bad for a species that was scheduled for extinction, Donovan said with a slight smile. Captain Hayes, now Admiral Hayes, approached them with a data tablet. The new Mutual Defense Protocol is ready for your review, Madam President. All 30 member species have contributed to its design. Harrington took the tablet. The key difference from the Council's approach. Complete transparency, Hayes replied. No secret archives. No hidden agendas. Every species has access to the same information. On Mars, Olivia Russell supervised the construction of the first Galactic Assembly Research Center. Scientists from 15 species worked together, studying the reprogrammed nanites that had saved humanity. The nanites have evolved beyond what we expected, she told Sam, who now led his own research team. They're incorporating design principles from multiple species, not just humans, and council technology. Sam looked at the microscope images with wonder. They're creating something new, something better than any single species could design alone. Just like the assembly itself, Olivia said. Dr. Gregory Washington had become the head of medical exchange for the assembly. Today he hosted doctors from 8 different species in his Europa laboratory. The compound that paralyzed council species taught us something important, he told the gathered scientists. We share more biological similarities than differences. This knowledge can help us develop treatments for diseases across all species. A doctor from a former council world raised a hand. Why are you sharing this knowledge freely? Under the council, such discoveries were controlled. Because progress comes from cooperation, not control, Gregory answered. Humans learned that lesson the hard way throughout our history. Daniel Pierce's global communication network had expanded to become the Interstellar Exchange. From his new office in New Washington, he coordinated information flow between worlds. Each species adds their own perspective. He explained to a group of visitors from 3 different planets. The diversity makes the network stronger, not weaker. One visitor asked, "The Council believed uniformity was strength. What made humans different?" Daniel thought for a moment. Humans have always been divided in some ways, by nations, beliefs, interests. But we learned that our differences can be a source of strength when we choose to work together despite them. Back in the assembly chamber, Catherine listened as representatives discussed plans for exploring beyond known space. The fear and suspicion that had defined the Council era was fading. The Council planned humanity's end because they feared our differences, she said when it was her turn to speak. They never understood that embracing diversity, of species, of ideas, of approaches, creates greater resilience than enforced uniformity ever could. Czar nodded in agreement. Perhaps that is why humans were uniquely suited to break the Council's pattern. Your will to survive was stronger precisely because it came from billions of individual choices rather than a single imposed directive. Catherine smiled at her friend. The irony is that in trying to eliminate us, they created exactly the catalyst the galaxy needed for change. Outside the chamber windows, the light of Proxima Centauri shone on a gathering of ships from dozens of worlds, working together not through force or fear, but through choice and mutual respect. The stars, once hiding a threat, now promised a future brighter than any single species could have created alone.